What's going on, PokeMoshPit? You got PokeAim here, and today I got a PO match versus my boy PokemonKing4Life. A lot of P's in those sentences. And you recently got back into Pokemon, and I'm actually testing out a team that Shofu asked me to use on the ladder. So I'm leading off with a Terrakion. He's going to lead off with a Landorus. Just going to go for Protect, just to scout what he wants to do. Ends up going for the Earthquake. Not going to want to lose my Terrakion right away. Going to go out into my Rotom Wash just to dodge that Earthquake. And I'm expecting him to switch out, so just going to go for the Volt Switch, as he does end up going out into his Breloom, which means I can easily Volt Switch on out into my Latios, threaten him with the Psyshock or the Draco Meteor, but he does have a Tyranitar on his team, and that can easily switch into this Latios, especially since I am Scarf as opposed to Specs. So gonna end up double switching out into my Terrakion, predicting him to go into T-Tar. Just gonna go for that close combat, as he does end up going on to his Landorus, and even though he does resist that still does a hell of a lot, 50% easy. So gonna go for Protect, just scout what he wants to do. Maybe if he wants to predict me to switch, go for the U-turn or anything, but we both know that Terrakion is a huge ass threat, so he's just trying to get rid of it as fast as possible. So I know he's locked in the Earthquake. Gonna go out into my Rotom Wash, as he does end up Earthquaking again, and predicting him to go out into his Breloom. Just gonna go for the HP Fire. It's actually HP Fire over HP Ice. You haven't seen HP Fire on Rotom Wash since like December of whenever Black and White came out in Japan, but it is HP Fire, as you can see right here, since he does end up going out into his Tyranitar, and it does resist that, and it does crap. But this Rotom Wash that Shofu asked me to test is actually an extra bell set, which is really cool because this Hydro Pump does do a hell of a lot to that T-Tar, as he is only able to get up his Stealth Rocks. Just gonna go for it again, as he does end up switching out into his Breloom, and unfortunately after it does hit, it doesn't bring him to the point where Sand will knock him out, which just means I do have to waste another turn of going for the HP Fire, and I'm able to knock out that Breloom. So that thing was actually a big threat to my team. Thankfully I did get that thing out right away. So he's actually gonna go on to his Terrakion, the biggest threat in OU in my opinion. So I'm just going to leave in my Rotom Wash just to die, because I didn't want to risk going into my Skarmory and having him 2KOing me after Stealth Rocks if he was the Banded variant. So right here, going to go out to my Skarmory. Going to go right for the Brave Bird just in case he wants to go for the close combat, predicting me to go for the Spikes, as he actually ends up going out into his Rotom Wash. And that damage from Brave Bird is actually going to come into play later on, as you guys will see. I'll point it out. So going to switch out into my Latios, knowing I can take any hit, as he does end up going for the Hydro Pump. Based on the damage, I know he is a Specs Rotom Wash, so again, he can easily switch out to his T-Tar. I could 2-hit KO with the Surf, but I don't want to give him the chance to go into his Scizor and Pursuit trapping me. So gonna go double switch out into my Tyranitar, knowing that I do run more speed, or Shofu does run more speed, so I can outspeed his T-Tar, get up my rocks if he wants superpower. He actually ends up going out into his Terrakion, and just gonna leave him my Tyranitar to die to this close combat. Gets a useless crit, I believe, and my T-Tar does go down, so now I'm going to go on to my Landorus. I am extra belted, so I can easily switch up moves if I need to. Just going to go right for the Earthquake. Again, I'm kind of stressing this, but Terrakion is a huge threat, so I just want to get that thing out of the way as soon as possible. So he ends up going out to his Landorus. I know he is Scarf, so going to go out into my Terrakion just to take the predicted HP Ice. Kind of risky on my part, since he could have essentially just predicted that and gone for the Earthquake, but I was pretty confident he would go for the HP Ice, and I am going to be able to knock it out with the close combat. So now he's going to go on to his Scizor. I was actually expecting to go for the Bullet Punch. I didn't even want to risk going for the Protect, so going to go out into my Skarmory just to take that, as he ends up predicting me to switch. So he goes for the U-turn. U-turns on out of there into his Rotom Wash. I'm looking at my team, and Latios is definitely the most useless Pokemon on my team, so just going to go out into it just to take the Hydro Pump, as he does end up going for that. And because I did get that Brave Bird damage from before, and also the Sand and Stealth Rock damages, that means I can easily go into Landorus and knock out his Rotom Wash with the Stone Edge. That's why that Brave Bird was actually pretty crucial. So now he's going to go on to his Terrakion. Just going to leave in my Landorus as Death Fodder. Maybe if your Stone Edge misses, I could easily just go for the Earthquake. He actually ends up getting a crit. It doesn't matter at all, because I know he is Banded. And I'm going to go into my own Terrakion. Thankfully, I do win the speed tie right here, because that Banded Stone Edge would have easily been able to knock me out. Does about 50% to Terrakion, so thankfully I did win the speed tie. I was able to knock him out with the close combat. He's going to go on to his Scizor right here, and right here I pause it because we were on Skype, me, PK, Shofu, S4J, a bunch of people, great rematch. You guys don't know them, but yeah, and he was talking about this part pretty much determines the battle. So I kind of had to think about this part. What do I do? Do I go into Skarmory to take the U-turn? Do I go for Protect? And then does he end up double switching? He actually ends up outplaying me right here. Goes to the U-turn as I go into my Skarmory, but it's fine because I knew I still did have the battle, because I could easily switch out into my Terrakion just to take the Resisted Fire Blast and knock out his Tyranitar with the close combat. And he is going to be down to his last Pokemon, which is his Scizor, and he's not going to go for the Bullet Punch because my Skarmory does Wallet for days, so he ended up locking himself in Superpower. So yeah, it's pretty much a good game. I win, narrow 1-0, good game. PK did pretty good despite just coming back into Pokemon. And again, I was team testing, but whatever. Shout out to Shofu for letting me test out this team for him. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed, check out my channel. Until next time, guys, later, PMP.